Bismillah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. You're listening to microbiology lesson on Introduction to Immunology. In this part 4, the last of this topic, we will briefly look at what happens after the presentation of antigens. You can generally categorize our adaptive immune response into two, the cell-mediated and antibody-mediated responses. In cell-mediated response, you have APCs or antigen-presenting cells. These APCs present or show the antigens to T cells. Once that presentation is verified, like what we talked about in the last episode, so once that presentation is verified, T cells activate. It means T cells split into different forms of T cell types. So T cells change into at least 4 types of cells. There are more than 4, but for now, let's stick with these 4. You have T helper cells, cytotoxic T cells, regulatory T cells, and memory T cells. They are part of the same defense force, but they play different roles, which we'll talk about in a minute. For now, just think of T helper cells as the cells who send signals to attack. Think of cytotoxic T cells as the combat units who attack infected cells. Regulatory T cells send signals to stand down to stop the attack. And memory T cells, well, they memorize how the enemy looks like. When you delve into the literature, you're going to see lots of abbreviations. For instance, we shorten T helper cells as TH, cytotoxic T cells as TC, and actually at times we even call the same cells with different names. Sometimes we call cytotoxic T cells TC. Other times we call it CTL, which is short for cytotoxic T lymphocytes. So be aware of that when you start reading the more technical papers in this field. When T cells differentiate into T helper cells, you don't just get only one subtype of T helper, you see. You get a variety of them. To start with, try to remember 3 of them. There are more than 3, of course, but for now, learn about TH1, TH2, and perhaps TH17, especially TH1 and TH2. So each of them is associated with different types of cytokines and they stimulate activities of different cells. For example, TH1 is important in activating cell-mediated responses. If the APCs, if the antigen-presenting cells trigger the TH1 pathway, then the TH cell will release, for example, interleukin 2 and bind to cells like macrophages or cytotoxic T cells. In different circumstances, the antigen-presenting cells may trigger the TH2 pathway. So there, the TH will release different sets of interleukins and bind to different cells, such as B cells, and that will lead to antibody-mediated responses. Now, things are actually more complicated than a simple TH1 versus TH2. I'll leave a link below if you're interested in reading some of the recent scholarly ideas regarding the matter. Beside T helper cells, some T cells mature into cytotoxic T cells. One way we identify cytotoxic T cells is the presence of CD8 on them rather than CD4. One of the primary roles of cytotoxic T cells is to conduct cellular attack. So our adaptive immunity has at least 2 combat modes, 2 ways of attacking. One is by using cells, the other is by using antibodies. So we use cytotoxic T cells for the attack using cells. So this works remarkably well for neutralizing host cells that are infected or cells that have become cancerous. The cytotoxic cells arsenal or weaponry include granzymes and perforins. The way the cytotoxic T cells do this is by approaching, by coming close to the enemy. When they are close to the enemy, they unleash lethal payloads of those granzymes and perforins. These lethal enzymes will lead to perforations or apoptosis, meaning that they either violently punch holes through the target cells or they trigger self-destruct sequence, which causes the target cells to commit suicide. The other two types of T cells are the regulatory T cells and memory T cells. Regulatory T cells instruct the immune cells to stand down. It regulates the immune cells to prevent excessive reactions. So this is crucial for maintaining a healthy level of immune response, so you won't have too much of it and cause autoimmune damages. They are generally CD4 positive, meaning that you find CD4 on them, and you'll find FOXP3 as well, another protein marker for Treg. And memory T cells, as the name indicates, retain the memory of previous antigenic encounters. It means as we grow up, we will be exposed to antigens. When we play football, when we get a flu, and our immune system will remember the antigens that we are exposed to, the shapes of the antigens, so that next time when we see the same antigen again, the same virus, for example, our body recognizes the antigen quickly and can mount a response much more effectively. Now, besides cell-mediated response, we have antibody-mediated response. The activation of antibody-mediated response can be of two sorts. One is T-independent activation, and the second is T-dependent activation. In T-independent activation, the B cells don't need T helper cells. The B cells will bind to the antigen, get activated all by themselves, and differentiate into plasma cells. And then each plasma cell will release thousands upon thousands of antibodies every single second, mostly IgM. Most of the time though, B cells do need T helper cells. This is called T-dependent activation. When this happens, B cells differentiate into number one, plasma cells, which are the combat units. So in T-dependent activation, T helper cells will help B cells to activate, and that co-activation produces, among others, plasma cells. And collectively, these plasma cells will launch antibodies like, think of plasma cells like aircraft carriers. So in the cell-mediated response, the cells are like ships who need to fire their guns in close combat. So unlike that, plasma cells are more like aircraft carriers in naval warfare. So they don't need to be in proximity to the target. They just launch their jet fighters and drones from wherever they are. So instead of having to come close to the target, plasma cells launch billions of antibodies which will attack the target. So these billions and billions of antibodies attack the target through several mechanisms. The first one is neutralization. A pathogen, a virus for example, needs to bind its receptors to its cellular victims. So antibodies can actually block those viral receptors. If the virus can't bind its receptors, it cannot invade the victim cells. Secondly, antibodies can opsonize the target. So here, the antibodies can stick on the target surface, making the pathogen easily identifiable by phagocytes, so that the phagocytes can come over and kill them. Thirdly, antibodies have been shown to help with the complement system. It can induce the activation of first protein, C1, and sets up the entire complement cascade. The fourth way is agglutination, in which the antibodies make large clumps of multiple target pathogens by linking them to one another, effectively immobilizing the pathogens. And they can perform antitoxin action, where the antibodies bind to the toxins and neutralize the threat of the target. So those are the plasma cells and antibodies. Now, not all of activated B cells differentiates into plasma cells. A subpopulation of it will turn into regulatory B cells. These cells release cytokines such as interleukin-10 to regulate the immune response, to minimize the collateral damages caused by our activated immunity. And then another subpopulation will turn into memory B cells, which remember how the antigens look like. So the next time our immunity sees the virus again, our immunity will have a higher anamnestic response, which means a more enhanced response. So this is the theoretical foundation behind vaccination, for instance. When we are vaccinated, we give our immunity the first exposure to the antigen, whether it's bacterial, viral, doesn't matter. And that first exposure is memorized by our memory cells, memory B cells, memory T cells. So when the real virus, the real pathogen infects us, our memorized antigen will show up again as a second exposure. And when that happens, our immunity will respond way more effectively. And that minimizes the symptoms and probable mortality, meaning even if you get sick, it won't be as bad and you are less likely to die, at least statistically. Okay, that's the end of your introduction to immunology. Talk to you again. Keep on reading, keep on learning. Barakallahu li wa lakum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.